Shh. Shh. Okay. Some guests coming in. Okay, good. Okay. Ready to start, my friends? Ready to go? Welcome, welcome, Rosalind, Jordan, Helga.
Morning, Rabbi. Morning, everyone.
Basil, ready to go. Good morning, everyone. Okay. So we're all ready to start.
Yeah.
And we're actually approaching the end of the Amida, the Shemona Esrei. And the 18, 19 blessings of the Amida, the daily prayers that we say 3 times a day, Shachar. And one of the questions that's asked, yes. You can do me a favor, if everyone could just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Thumbs up, yeah. Okay, good. So one of the question that we asked, and we were discussing the last couple of classes, was why the need for daily prayer? Why is it so important to pray every day? We should just pray to God when we have a problem once in a while, when there's challenges in life. Why the need for daily prayer? So far we say that the final 3 blessings are actually the answer to that question. One reason was sacrifices. Today we don't have the daily sacrifices in the temple, so prayer takes the place of the daily sacrifices. That was the first reason. Second reason, which we spoke about last week, was thanksgiving. We have to be thankful, not just once in a while to God, but we need to thank God for every breath we take. Every day, 3 times a day, as we say in the Modim, Erev Avokat Tzarayim, in the evenings, in the mornings, in the afternoons, we need to say, thank you, Hashem. That was the second reason. And this week, we're going to talk about the third reason, which is the final blessing of the Amidah. And we speak about another reason why we need to pray every day. As it says at the end of that prayer, the prayer of Sim Shalom, which is the prayer for peace. At the end, it says, V'tov be'anecha, and may it be good in your eyes, or it is good in your eyes. Levarech es Amcha Yisrael, to bless the people of Israel every day and every moment with peace. Peace, as we know, is a very fragile thing. The state of affairs in the world, every day you wake up and look at the news, it's changing from second to second, from moment to moment. We thought yesterday the world was at peace, and suddenly you wake up in the morning, you hear there's a war, or you hear there's fights. Peace is something that's very, very fragile. And the blessing of peace, the prayer for peace, needs to be every day and 3 times a day. We constantly need shalom. Peace at home, shalom bayis. We speak about having peace in our homes, couples, one day you have a peaceful day, the next day suddenly everything goes wrong. You need a prayer every day to ask Hashem for peace at the home. Peace of mind. You need to have peace in your mind. One day things are good. The next day you wake up, you have aggravation. You don't know where it's coming from. So you don't have peace of mind. So to have the word shalom, peace, also comes from the word shleimut, which is completion, wholeness, totalness, totality. We'll talk a little bit more about it later. But this is a reason to pray every single day and 3 times a day. You need to make a blessing and a prayer for peace. Because of the fragility of peace. Because it's an unstable world we're living in. But I used to say many times, the Welt schaukelt sich, the world keeps on shaking, we think the world, everything is just, nice and smooth. But the human condition and the condition of the world is one where every day we need to pray for peace. In fact, this bracha is based on another commandment of the Torah. The Torah says that every single day, the Kohanim were a certain tribe amongst the Israelites that came from the children of Aaron. Aaron HaKohen, the brother of Moses, God said that all his children, all his progeny for the generations, they shall be the priests of the Jewish people. So Jewish people, we have priests too. Many people think the priests are just in other religions. No, the other religion actually is a takeoff on Judaism to some degree. The Kohen, the priest, is a priestly group, priestly part of our nation. A group of Kohanim in the temple times, they were the ones that they used to serve in the temple. There were many restrictions in the Torah for this tribe of the Kohanim. They can't go to a cemetery because they always have to be pure and ready to serve in the temple. The Kohanim, there are only certain kinds of people they can marry. There are restrictions on who a Kohen can marry. The Kohen Gadol can't even marry a widow, for whatever reason God had. Kohanim have many restrictions. And why? Because they were the priests of the Jewish people. So one of the mitzvahs that the Kohanim have, which many of us are familiar with, is the blessing of the Kohanim. The Torah says that every day the Kohanim should bless the Jewish people. And the final bracha within the blessing of the Kohanim, we'll talk about the blessing of the Kohanim shortly, which was to be recited every day, is the line, V'yasem lecha shalom. And you shall be blessed with the blessing of peace. So the Kohanim are instructed every day to say a bracha, to say a blessing, that there should be peace. As Jews, one of our famous, one of the most favorite songs is Ohoseh Shalom Bimroma, right? May there be peace. May God make peace for us. Or Sim Shalom Tova Uvracha, peace. Or and whenever we see another Jewish person, we always say Shalom Aleichem, may peace unto you. The Arabs, they also say Salam Aleikem, Salam, it's peace, Shalom, it's peace. Right? Very important blessing. But God instructs the Kohanim that they should bless the Jewish people with the blessing of peace. And the instruction actually that it should be a daily blessing. In Israel, in fact, every day as part of the service, at this point of the Amidah, by the repetition of the Amidah, the Kohanim rise and they bless the entire congregation with the blessing of the Kohanim, which is the focal point of that blessing, is the blessing for peace. V'yasem lecha shalom, and may you have peace. They do it every single day in Israel. In the diaspora, we don't say it every day for whatever reason, because the diaspora, there are many things which are different than in Israel. One of them is that the Kohanim only say the blessing of the priests, of the Kohanim, Birkat Kohanim is recited only when? Anyone? It's recited when? It's recited on the holidays. Okay, the Birkat, the blessing of the Kohanim, on Pesach, on Sukkot, on Shavuos, and on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. On all the festivals, the festivals which are mentioned in the Torah, we have in the diaspora, we have the Birkat Kohanim. But in Israel, every morning, if you go to shul there, the Kohanim stand up in front of the congregation and they bless the congregation with the blessing of the Kohanim. Now, this blessing of the Kohanim is recited in this place in the Amidah, right by the bracha of Sim Shalom. And you could say that this was sort of the incentive or the inspiration for the sages who established the prayers every day, because the Kohanim blessed the people every day, even before the establishment of the Amidah. This is a biblical commandment. In the times of Aaron, a Kohen already, from the times of Aaron, God spoke to Aaron and said, bless the Jewish people with this blessing. So Birkat Kohanim actually predates formalized prayer, right? Because it's in the Bible, it's in the Torah. the blessing of the Kohanim, that they should do the blessings. That was done before there was formalized prayer. But now when prayer was being formalized about 2,500 years ago, when the men of the Great Assembly wrote these prayers, and they based it on all the previous writings to make a formal prayer for everyone, the final prayer, like a focal point of the entire prayers, was the blessing for peace, Sim Shalom, which is based on V'yasem L'cha Shalom, which is the final stanza of the blessing of the Kohanim. And when do the Kohanim continue to say it? They say this, their blessing on the holidays in the diaspora and every day in Israel, right at this juncture of the prayers. You know, there's a lot of Kabbalistic, mystical things, and since this is a Kabbalah class, talk a little bit to that. A lot of mysticism involved in the blessing of the Kohanim. You know, the Kohanim, when they would say the blessing of the Kohanim, it was a highlight in the temple times. In fact, today we don't know exactly how to pronounce the name of God, the ineffable name of God. If you look in the Torah scroll, the way it's written is Yud. There's a Yud, then there's a Hey, then there's a Vav and a Hey. That's the way it's spelled, the name of God. We are not allowed to say it. Instead, we say, when we see the name of God, the way we read it is, I'm just going to say it slightly different, it's Adonai, Aleph Daled Nun Yud. That's the way we say God's name, Ado, right? That's the way we say it when we see the name of God. In our Siddur, if you look at the name of God, when it appears usually in the Siddur, it doesn't even have the complete name of God. It doesn't have the Yud K and Vav K. Usually it just has two Yuds, Yud, Yud. There's two Yuds in our Siddurim when it has the name of God. But the way it's written in the Torah is Yud and Hey and a Vav and a Hey. But we don't know today exactly how that is pronounced. That was a secret that was passed down in the olden days from Kohanim, one to the other. And they knew how to pronounce it. Today, for whatever reason, we don't know exactly which vowels go in those four Hebrew letters. So there's a Yud, a Hey, and a Vav, and a Hey. Right? We don't know exactly what are the vowels. So it could be with Kametz, it could be with Patach, it could be many different ways. Segel, it could be many different vowels. So we don't know today exactly how it's pronounced, but the Kohanim, they used to teach their children exactly how to say God's name. That's one opinion. Another opinion is that, in fact, they used to pronounce a much longer name of God, a 72-letter name of God. We could talk another time about the 72-letter name of God. So it's a much longer name of God, and that was the name that they pronounced then when they said the blessing of the Kohanim. But be as that may, it was a very, very mystical thing, the ways they used to do. So what the Kohanim do, you're not allowed, when the Kohanim say the blessings, you're not allowed to look at the Kohanim. I remember if your parents told you, don't look at the Kohanim, you're not allowed to view them. And in the men's section, they take the talus, and everybody throws it over their head. So as not to look at the Kohanim while they're, because why? Because there's such a high level of spirituality, of godliness that's coming from the Kohanim. At that moment, it says that the divine spirit is on the Kohanim, so you're not allowed to look at the Kohanim. You know, little kids sometimes the parents tell them, no, don't look at the Kohanim. The kids like this, they look through the talus to see what the Kohanim look like. Yeah. A lot of times people think, the little kids, they think the reason why they got glasses was because they looked at the Kohanim during the service. Right? But be as that may, you're not supposed to look at the Kohanim. And the Kohanim place also talus over their own head, and they stand in front of the congregation on the stage, and they first face east towards God, and then they turn their back to the Aron Kodesh, and they stretch their hands out like this, and they put together like that, right, in the front, and they sort of like, it's like God channels through them the blessings to the Jewish people. And when they do it, they hold their hands in a particular way, which is a tradition amongst the Kohanim, the priests, a certain way that they hold their hand. The way they hold their hand is something like this. You see that? So they put two hands together like that, but the hands are being held like that. Now, if you look that design over there, right? That's the way they hold their hands it's almost like the energy comes, boom, it comes right through their fingers to the people. It comes like that. So why do they hold their hands like that? So some say the word shalom starts with the word letter shin, right? So this is like a shin, you see? See the shin there? Is 1, 2, 3. So you have a shin that's being created, two shins actually, if they put them together. And there's a mysticism of the three heads of the shin. It's a three-headed letter, and this reminds of the shalom, the peace that's flowing through the Kohanim to the people. It's also the bracha. The blessing is called the three-headed blessing. If you look in the Siddur, it says when they read it, we say bracha hamshuleshet. It's a triple blessing, because in the blessing there are three stanzas. So it's a blessing of three. There are three blessings. Yivarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha, Yo'er Hashem panav elecha v'chuneka, and Yisa Hashem panav elecha yasem chasha. There are three verses in this blessing. So it's a triple blessing. So you have again number three. This is something that Kohanim taught their children how to do it. When they're kids, they teach them how to hold their hand like that in a particular way. In fact, there's a very famous Kohen who was a movie star that grew up knowing that he was a Kohen, and he was a movie star in a famous TV series called a space series called Star Trek. I don't know if any of you have seen that famous thing called Star Trek. Yeah, it's from our generations. And there was a Jewish actor who in the Star Trek he was known as Dr. Spock, and his real name was Leonard Nimoy. I don't think that was his real. That was his movie. That was his acting name. He was known as a movie star named Leonard Nimoy. And he tells the story that the reason why in Star Trek he has a sign. It's called the Vulcan sign. It was a group called the Vulcans, and their sign that they used to have was this. This was the sign that they had, the Vulcan sign. So he said when they were making the movie, he said he has this. They were thinking what the sign of the Vulcans should be. So he says, I got it, because he reminded himself that his Zaidi always used to take him under the talus, and he taught him. He was a Kohen, and his Zaidi taught him how to hold the hands for the Kohanim, which was like that. So he said, you want a sign from like another world? That's the Kohen sign. The triple sign, the triple blessing of the Birkat Kohanim, of the blessing that the Kohanim are told to give a bracha, to give a blessing. Blessings of the Jewish people are a very important thing. We bless our children before Shabbat and before the Chag, before Yom Kippur. A bracha is a very important thing by the Jewish people. You have to know, like the word bracha. Say a bracha, but the South Africans say a bracha is like a kiddush, they call it the bracha when you go. But a bracha the word bracha means blessing, and blessing is a spiritual channel. The word for blessing actually is we say Baruch atah Hashem. Baruch comes to the word bracha. Baruch means you are blessed. So the Kabbalists say that the word bracha comes from the word bricha, which means a pool of water, a channel of water, channel. So when we say a bracha, what we're doing then is we're channeling into God. So when the Kohanim, when they give the bracha to everyone, they're not giving their own blessings. It's God's blessings that's like being channeled through them. That's why it's called Birkat Kohanim, the blessing of the Kohanim. That's their bracha that they make, that they empty themselves out, and they act as a conduit, as a channel of blessing to this world. Lots of people don't really know what a bracha is meant to be. I think a bracha, you say a bracha, you eat something. But a bracha really is meant to be a channel of blessing from Hashem. That's what a blessing is. You know, there was once a story about a Jewish guy that he went to the horse racing. He liked to go horse racing. So he went there one time, and he sees just before the race, he gives a look down at the stables. He sees a rabbi is going down to one of the horses. He puts his hand on one of the horses. He says some words in Hebrew, whatever. So the guy says, I know this horse is gonna be a winner. So he puts a lot of money on the horse, and the race is off. The horses are running, and sure enough, the horse that the rabbi was speaking to won the race. So he was very excited about it. He waited for the next race, and he gives a look. Just before the next race, the rabbi goes to another horse, and he's putting his hands on it. So he doubles his money, triples his money. He puts everything he's got, you know. And the race is on, and the horse wins again. This other horse. So the guy says, "Wow, he's becoming a millionaire, you know, from this rabbi." So he waits for the third race. This time he calls his wife. He calls her up before. He says, "Look, my wife, I did this in 2 races. Everything worked 100%. The next race, I'm putting our house on it. I'm putting everything we got on this thing because." So the third race comes, and the rabbi goes and puts his hands on the thing and mumbles a few words. And the horses are off, and this guy bet everything he has on. He bet his house, he bet everything, anything he ever know. It's all on this one horse. And the race is over, the horses are going and going. And the horse, this third horse, comes in last place. A slowpoke of a horse. The guy is so upset. He lost everything he invested on this horse, he bet on this horse. Doesn't know what to do. He goes to the rabbi, he finds the rabbi, he comes to the rabbi, he shouts at the rabbi, he says, "How dare you?" The rabbi says, "What are you talking about?" He says, "You fooled me." He says, "What are you talking about?" "I saw the first 2 horses, you put your hand on them and you said something to the horses. You must have given some kind of a blessing, and we won." So on the third one, he says, "I put all my money on it." He says the rabbi, "That's the problem with you secular Jews," he says the rabbi. He says, "You don't know the difference between making a bracha and saying a kaddish. On the third horse, I just said kaddish on him, so you should lose." So he's saying kaddish for the horse, not the bracha. So you have to know the difference between a blessing and a kaddish. So anyways, so that's the story. I just want to tell you, a bracha is the highest of high. When we make a blessing, or whatever it is, the purpose of the blessing is to channel God's holiness, God's bounty, God's blessings onto us. And when we receive God's blessings, that opens up new windows and new vistas of opportunity in our lives. So when we have this triple blessing that the Kohanim say, as we mentioned, it's the 3 fingers, the shin, like we have on the tefillin also. The tefillin has also a shin on it. Also, the letter shin is a very mystical letter. So it's a 3-pronged blessing that comes down to us. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that blessing, the blessing of the Kohanim. And then we're going to talk a little bit about this final bracha of Sim Shalom, the blessing of peace. But first, let's look carefully at the blessing that we're told to bless the people every day. The Kohanim, the priests of the Jewish people, are told to bless 3 blessings. First blessing, blessing number 1, is Yivarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and protect you. What does this mean? May God bless you and protect you. First of all, if God is blessing you, He's obviously protecting you. That's included in He's blessing, you're blessed, so you're protected. What if it's obviously included? No. We say, may God bless you and protect you. So it's brought down that this first blessing of Yivarechecha is for material well-being. It's the blessing for the material well-being of ourselves. Our health, our finances, our children, all the material things that we need in life. So Rashi says it's for Mammon and Banim. Mammon, money, and Banim, children. It's a blessing to financially well and to have a good, healthy children. That's the bracha Yivarechecha. May you be blessed. So if it's for material wealth, why does it have to say afterwards, and may God guard your blessing, v'yishmerecha? And the answer is, because sometimes a blessing can turn out to be a curse. Why? Sometimes people are given the blessing of money, and they have so much money that it gets to their head, and they go meshuggah. Now, they used to say there are 3 things that make you meshuggah. 3 things that make you crazy. There are 3 definites, 3 things that happen. Okay, so not 3 things that make you crazy. 3 things that are certainties besides for taxes and death. It says like this. It says that money makes you crazy. Money makes a person crazy. Liquor, alcohol makes a person drunk. And these are certainties. And the third thing is that Torah, studying Torah, makes you a refined person, makes you a better person. So you can ask a question on these 3 definites. We see some people that have money and they're not crazy. So the answer is, give them a little bit more money. Add a little bit more money. They're not crazy yet, a little more. Eventually, when they get somewhere up by Bill Gates, they'll go crazy, right? Or at that level, right? Eventually you go crazy. That's the rule. It's a rule. So we see some people drink alcohol. Some people drink alcohol, and they're not drunk. You see a lot of people, they can drink alcohol. So the answer is, give them a little bit more alcohol. So they're still not drunk, more alcohol. Eventually, everybody will become drunk. That's a definite, that's a rule. And the third rule is, that if you study Torah, you become a better person. They ask a question, we see some people that study Torah, and they're not such a good person. So the answer is, let them study a little more. Still not good, a little more. So money can drive a person batty, can drive them bananas, can drive them crazy. So this is what the Torah says, Yivarechecha Hashem, may God bless you with the blessing, let's say, of Parnasa. But v'yishmerecha, may He guard it, that it turns out that the blessing shouldn't turn out to be a curse. Because a blessing, too much of the blessing can turn out to be a curse. And more than that, sometimes we can make money and we have to use it on doctor bills. We don't want that, right? You could have a lot of money, but you're using the money for the wrong things. That's not a blessing. So the blessing of Yivarechecha needs to be v'yishmerecha. May God guard the blessing, that you shouldn't use it for the wrong things. Same thing is with children. You say, many people, they cry, we want to have a child, But then sometimes the child can also drive you crazy. Right? They could take you off the deep end, as they say. So Yivarechecha, may God bless you with children, but the children should give you an achas, v'yishmerecha. May God guard the blessing. So that's the first stanza. The first stanza of the triple blessing. Remember the triple blessing? I showed you the three to remember. The first blessing is, may God give you all your material well-being, your material blessings. That's the first stanza. But we have three stanzas in this blessing. And remember, the final blessing is shalom, which that is the whole purpose of this connection to this part of davening. What is the second? The second stanza is, you can have all the wealth and all the children and everything in the world, but if you don't have spirituality, a meaning to life, a meaningful life, it's not a real life. It's not a good life. That's why we say in the second blessing, we say, Ya'er Hashem panav, may God shine upon you. What does it mean to God to shine upon us? What's he shining on us? He's shining a flashlight? It says, may he shine his countenance upon you. The word that's used is panim, panim. Panim also means the inside, pnim. Panim means a face, countenance, but also means pnim, the inside. So what God is giving us, he's shining upon us depth, profundity, meaningful life. He is shining upon us his countenance. What does it mean? God shines on us his countenance. It means that he gives us, he makes us shine too. You can live a life like a robot, or you can live life just to make money and to go through life and to eat more lokshen and potatoes and filet mignon and steak and all the good things in the physical world. But you have no meaning in life. There's no depth. There's no Torah. There's no mitzvahs. It's the second bracha. Yoed Hashem panav elecha. May God give you something deeper. V'chilneka. And may he be graceful to you. May God give you his grace. That's what we're talking about. Grace. Very important blessing. May God give you his grace. What's God's grace? The light of God. We know that the word grace is a very interesting word. It's the word, comes from the word chen in Hebrew. When you say sometimes someone is physically beautiful, that's okay. They have nice features. But then sometimes you say a person has charm, a person has chen. A lot of times by a shidduch they tell you the person not so beautiful, but they have a lot of chen. What does it mean? Their personality shines through. They have depth. They have beautiful things to speak and share. That's a person with chen. So a lot of times when someone's not so pretty, you say they have chen. But it's not to minimize. Chen means charm. They have magnetism, charisma, personality, depth. So this is what we say over here. May God shine upon you his chen. So in Judaism, we're not so into the physical. We ask a bracha, Hashem should give us our finances, our physical. But what's more important to us is our meaningful life. I remember someone once brought the Miss Israel to the Rebbe, someone with a little chutzpah, or they were here in America, I think, for the Miss Universe pageant or something. So this guy, a little chutzpah, he brought the Miss Israel to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Imagine a tzaddik like the Rebbe, he brings the most beautiful woman of Israel to stand in front of the Rebbe. Comes to the Rebbe. But the Rebbe didn't lose his cool, and the Rebbe, every Jew is a Jew, so Miss Israel standing there, very fine girl, otherwise. And he tells the Rebbe, they brought the girls here. They're coming to the Miss Universe pageant, whatever. So the Rebbe says to the girl, he says to her like this. He says, in the Eshes Chayil, in the prayer that we speak about the virtues of the Jewish woman, we say, Hevel HaYoifi, that beauty is nothingness. Isha Yirat Hashem, a God-fearing woman, she should be praised. So the Rebbe says, the commentaries ask, What does this mean? That what are we rejecting beauty? Are we saying beauty is vanity and nothingness? If God created it, it must be something special. No, we're not rejecting physical beauty. Physical beauty is important. But what's more important is when you're God-fearing, when you have a love for Hashem, when you have meaning in life, a meaningful life, then your beauty takes on different dimension. Physical beauty is only half of the equation, and it's nothing, it's worthless if it doesn't also come with depth. When you have the depth and you have the God-fearingness and you're a deeper person, then beauty becomes something really beautiful. So the Rebbe says that's the secret to the beauty of the Jewish woman. Her physical beauty is accentuated and becomes a real existence when it's coupled with the charm, the meaning, the depth, the love of Hashem, the studying of Torah. Then beauty becomes something way beyond. And then it becomes a meaningful thing, the physical beauty too. So the Rebbe said, that's my message to you. And I want you to share this with all your friends in the industry. Go tell them that physical beauty is nothing unless you fill it with the light of Hashem. So this is the second bracha where we ask Hashem, Ya'er Hashem panav elecha. May God shine upon you his countenance. Means don't just give us a physical life, Hashem. We're asking Hashem, please grant us also chen, grant us charm, grant us depth, the light of Hashem. Shine upon us your light. That's the second blessing. And then we come to the third blessing, is Ya'er Hashem panav elecha. You said that already. Yisar Hashem. May God raise his face to us, his countenance to us. Yasem l'cha shalom. May he give us the blessing of peace. That's the third bracha. The third bracha is the blessing of peace. Why? Because you had the first blessing, and there was the blessing for the physical. Second blessing is the blessing of the spiritual. So you have two kinds of people. You have one kind of person who's totally focused on the physical. A narcissist, they do well in the physical world, but they only live with a physical life. Then you have another group of people that are just spiritual, that live just a spiritual, religious life, but they don't connect to the physical world at all. They're like hermits or whatever, removed from the world. But the highest level is v'yasem l'cha shalom, to make peace between the physical and the spiritual together. When physical and spiritual work together, when the body and soul are synchronized and synthesized and become a beautiful fluid existence, that's the key to happiness of life. Physical wealth is fine, but only if it's coupled with spiritual wealth. You need to have both. But not just to have both, one in one pocket and one in the other. No, it needs to be blended. You need to become one existence. When you walk on the street, they see a person that's charged with the meaning of life and also is dealing with the physical world at the same time. Get what I'm saying over here? So that's the third bracha of Yasem L'cha Shalom. I have a lot more talk about it, and we'll continue with Mitzvah Shem next week along the same lines. This triple bracha, I have some another deep insight into this bracha, and then afterwards we're going to talk about the bracha of Sim Shalom. As we said, the reason why we daven 3 times a day is because peace is such an important thing. Every day you want to have true peace, inner peace, outer peace, peace amongst the nations, peace in the home, and peace in our heart. Peace of mind. Those are all the important things, and that's something we can make brachas for every day. We can ask Hashem every single day, request for it, and receive also the blessings of God in that field, which in Israel we said to get through the Kohanim, but here we mention it in the diaspora as part of the Amida in Sim Shalom. So we'll continue next week, and I wish you all a peaceful week. Does anyone have any questions before we go for this class?
Rabbi, I have a question. Quite a while ago, we spoke about it, and I don't remember. You spoke about the shin on the tefillin.
Right.
On the one side, it has 3 branches. On the other side, it has 4.
Yeah, so you have like the 3 is maybe for the patriarchs, and the 4 is for the matriarchs. You know, there were 3 patriarchs and 4 matriarchs. You have that on both sides. There's another explanation, is because if you give a look, the tefillin is the shin. A shin, when you if you have it protruding, then the shin is 3 parts, right? But if you have it indented in something, like if you have it engraved, then you create 4 parts to engrave. You understand what I'm saying? The pieces around the shin, you have to have 4 lines to create three grooves in the engraving. So the shin, the one side it represents the protruding shin, and the other one represents the engraved shin. So that's another explanation I saw. And plus 3 heads of the shin on the one side, plus 4 on the other side, together adds 3 and 4 is equal to 7. Now we all know 7 is the 7 heavens and the seven levels and 7 attributes of God and 7 days of the week. 7 is as we know, is very spiritually a very, very special number. So you have 3 plus 4. Okay, those are some ideas in that. But remember but now you see another idea is when the Kohanim would put out the fingers, they would have two shins. Actually, they created two shins, which is also like the 2 shins on the both sides of the tefillin. You have 2 shins. Also, the Kohanim created 2 shins. I don't know if they could do 3 and 4. They could do 3 and 3. Okay.
Thanks, Rabbi. Thanks. Have a good Shabbos.
Have a good Shabbos, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rabbi.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Wishing you and your family shalom too.
Sure. Shabbat.
Shalom.
Say Shabbat shalom.
Rabbi, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.